Today in Luther's Kitchen, I'm making falafel and Israeli salad. To begin with, I have soaked some dried garbanzo beans, which is super important because you don't want to use canned garbanzo beans. They're too moist and they will not give you the texture that you need to form the falafel ball. So ideally you soak those overnight. They're not going to be as soft as canned garbanzos, but they do need to be soft enough to blend or to mix in a food processor. Now, while those are soaking, I'm working with my Israeli salad, and I have seeded a English cucumber, and now I'm just cutting it into small pieces. The next vegetable that I'm going to add to my Israeli salad is a yellow bell pepper. I think it gives it really pretty color and tastes really good. And whenever you're cutting a bell pepper, you want to make sure you remove the ribs and the seeds. And I want all the vegetables to be the same size. So next thing that I'm cutting is fresh parsley, Italian flat leaf parsley, a whole bunch, like literally one bunch, finely chopped. Then I'm going to add a little bit of red onion. Don't go crazy with red onion. A lot of raw onion in your mouth is usually not a very good thing. So this is a huge onion, and I'm only going to use like 1/5 of it, but the pieces for the onion should be smaller than everything else. I think of this as like being a Israeli salsa, but it's really a salad. Now I have one bunch of scallions that I am chopping fine, and a couple of hothouse tomatoes. Also, everything very small, petite, like pico de gallo. The dressing is very simple. It's fresh lemon juice, some olive oil, salt and pepper. I mean, how easy is that? It's just ridiculously easy. So I'm seasoning it initially, and then I'm going to season it again once everything is mixed together right before I serve it. Now for the falafel. I'm going to take those soaked garbanzo beans that have been rinsed and drained, and I'm going to add them to the bowl of a food processor. I'm going to process these first before adding in other elements. You want to process these until the texture resembles wet sand. Then I'm going to drop in some garlic cloves. I'm not even going to chop them, followed by an onion that I am going to give a rough chop. And then there's 2 herbs that go in the falafel. There's Italian parsley, or this is curly parsley, and cilantro. So I happen to have a bunch of curly parsley, a bunch of Italian flat leaf parsley, and then 2 bunches of cilantro. So I'm getting everything off the stem, and then I'm giving these just a rough chop so that I can put them in the food processor. But before I blend the herbs with the onions, I'm going to do the onions and garlic separate with the chickpeas or garbanzos before I add in the herbs. All this needs to get incorporated. Again, you're looking for wet sand. Once you've achieved that, you can go ahead and add in the herbs. And at that point, you just want to pulse until your mixture turns green and you don't have any large pieces of herbs. And it's really important that you continually get a spatula in there and scrape down the sides and the bottom of the food processor bowl. Once the mixture has been fully incorporated, I added a little bit of chickpea flour. You can also add in regular all-purpose flour, but you do need to add baking soda. That's going to make it a little lighter. And to the mixture earlier, I had already seasoned it with salt and pepper. All of that gets a good mix. Then you need to let this rest, park it in the fridge for about a half hour. And while that's happening, I'm making a tahini sauce. My tahini sauce is very simple. It's garlic, it's a little cumin, it's a little cayenne pepper, salt, tahini paste, which is ground up sesame seed, lemon juice, and water. And then all that gets a good mix in a blender until it's really smooth. And then I keep it in a squeeze bottle so that I can, like restaurant style, squeeze the tahini sauce onto the falafel. Now that my falafel mixture has rested for a half hour, I'm ready to start forming the balls. I am baking these, so I'm spraying a foil-lined sheet pan with olive oil, and I'm being very generous because these are supposed to be fried. but I just can't fry food. So I'm going to bake them, and I need to be really generous with the oil so that I can develop some kind of crust on the exterior of these falafel balls. So lots of oil. Then I'm using a cookie scoop to scoop out equal portions. You could also use meatball tongs or just your hands and kind of eyeball it, but you need equal sizes so that they look good in the sandwich and they bake evenly. Now that all my falafel balls are formed, generously spraying them with oil, and I'm going to pop them in a 375 degree oven. And after about 10 minutes, I spray them with more oil, pop them back in, sprayed them with more oil. I did that 3 times to get that crunchy exterior. I mixed all of my Israeli salad together, tasting it, making sure that it was seasoned properly, adding a little more salt and pepper. And then I added the Israeli salad to the actual falafel sandwich. I'm just using pita bread. And I loved the lemony mix with that Israeli salad and the tomato and the onion against the crunchy falafel with the interior that was very soft and that tangy tahini sauce. For this recipe and more, visit myclasscancook.com.